My Zionism demanded that I keep a distance between myself and the very tangible, real-world pain of Palestinians.
Zionism is not your feelings. You and I are the products of a many decades-long investment in raising a generation of young Jews who saw their Judaism and their Zionism as inextricable. And obviously we're in a moment now where that's completely unraveling. We are publicly breaking the conflation of Jews in Israel. The people who want that conflation to stay really hate that and really hate us for it.
It's always scary. For us, it's like personal, it's our community. Who did I just lose forever?
I don't think it's forever. We have to believe in the capacity of our people to change. You can have a good Jewish life and say, go birds, fuck ICE, and free Palestine.
Let's go.
Hello and welcome. This is the Beyond Israelism podcast. Do you remember Israelism? The film that they tried to ban on college campuses across the U.S.?
In a statement to CBS News Philadelphia, Penn said the film screening was postponed for the safety and well-being of the Penn community.
The documentary is kind of trying to shed light onto that silence in our education and to make us question, what don't we know about this history?
What we've been told is the only way that Jews can be safe is if Palestinians are not safe. The more I learned about that, the more I came to see that as a lie.
Well, that film was my story. I'm Simone Zimmerman. I'm an American Jewish activist, and I've been part of the growing movement for Palestinian freedom for over a decade. Like millions of American Jews and Americans broadly, I was raised to believe that Israel was a democratic state that was integral to Jewish safety. I didn't abandon those ideas overnight. It was a long process of unlearning, rethinking, and recommitting. Needless to say, these myths have been shattered by the unrestrained cruelty that Israel has inflicted on the Palestinian people over the last 2 years. As people across the world have awoken to the injustice of Israeli apartheid, there have been aggressive campaigns to silence voices of truth. On the ground, we're seeing Israel continuing to assassinate Palestinian journalists in Gaza and outlawing dissent, while its allies abroad are working to intimidate, criminalize, and censor critical voices. When college administrations were pressured to cancel screenings of Israelism, those campaigns actually galvanized young people who became even more hungry for tools to understand the gaps between the myths of Israel they were raised with and the reality of the Gaza genocide that they were watching unfold live on social media. For decades, the pro-Israel consensus in the US and Europe has been a key to Israel's ongoing campaign of erasure against Palestinians. The lie that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitic has long been used to smear the Palestinian freedom movement. But it's becoming harder and harder to sustain that lie, as hundreds and thousands of us around the world are speaking out against the genocide. Meanwhile, Jewish organizations like the Anti-Defamation League are pushing a dangerous redefinition of anti-Semitism in American life, claiming that Zionism is little more than the right of Jewish people to self-determination. But for Palestinians, decades of ethnic cleansing from their homeland and the ongoing violation of their right to live in freedom and safety has always been what Zionism has meant. We must be clear that any ideology or system that places a hierarchy on human life, that casts some of us as worthy and others as a danger, is a threat to all of us. 2 years into the Gaza genocide, it could not be more clear to me, and to many Jews around the world, that Israelism, this fusion of Judaism and Zionism, is a danger to Jewish people around the world and a desecration of our beautiful and ancient tradition. On this show, I'm going to be speaking with people who have emerged as key voices in the movement to stop the genocide and to realize Palestinian freedom. I'm so excited and honored that our first guest on this show is Hannah Einbinder, the comedian and Emmy award-winning actress who stars in the hit HBO series Hacks. I got to sit down with her right after she won her Emmy, for one of the first times she has spoken at length on this topic. Hannah has emerged as one of the most outspoken Jews in Hollywood, which is a statement both on her own courage and on the cowardice around her. Hannah has become a symbol of the massive generational shift underway as young Jews continue to break from Zionism in even greater numbers. Here's my conversation with Hannah. Hey, Hannah.
Shalom, Simone.
Welcome to Beyond Israelism.
Thank you for having me.
I'm extremely grateful to you for being here.
Oh my God.
I want to start off by asking you about your Jewish upbringing in LA. I imagine maybe parts were similar to mine, but I'd love to hear what it was like for you growing up.
Yeah, well, Judaism was positive and really warm and celebratory. I went to Temple Isaiah in LA, super reformed synagogue, gay cantor, lady rabbi, like it was like cool, peace and love, acoustic guitar, puppets, you know what I mean? Like it was like very reform, very LA, like kind of, you know, hippie shul, I would say. And so like I loved Judaism. I never felt like it was like anything other than like positivity, community. Like it was always a huge part of my identity. And in terms of Israel, I just, you know, even that type of an environment, at least when I was coming of age, Israel was a big part of it. You know, we like many Jews in America and the world, you know, had Holocaust survivors come in when we were, you know, in second grade or something and, you know, tell us their stories and tell us why Israel was essential to preventing another Holocaust. That's like obviously a huge part of the narrative. It was kind of this like accepted sort of, you know, narrative that we were given, as well as like obviously even non-Jews, right? Like they too get the same misrepresentation of the situation and what has occurred.
I became familiar with your game when I saw your Human Rights Campaign speech.
Israel's actions are not in the name of Jewish safety, and it is the very conflation of Israel's actions with the Jewish people that continues to endanger Jews around the world.
You get offered this honor at the Human Rights Campaign dinner, and like, what are the things that you are considering in terms of giving this speech?
When they offered it to me this time, it was like the reason that I was accepting was to do this. You know, I had been actually the year prior because Jean was getting the allyship award, and I was like, of course, like go present for her. And that year, the gala was disrupted by someone, I think a group of people who were protesting Jill Biden, who was being honored as well. And I remember sitting in that room and being like, wait, what is this event? Like, what is going on here? And then not long after the disruption, they did like a thank you to our corporate sponsors package. And it was like all these oil companies with like the pride flag, you know, like BP, Exxon, Chevron, Shell, all the classics. So I was kind of like, okay, this is like corporate pride, Dem institution, you know? I was like, okay, I understand what this is. And like, I think just knowing like right after the corporate sponsor package of like, thank you to the oil companies and like rainbow flags that I was going to directly name them, I was kind of like, yeah, I'm like scared.
Cool.
But
badass.
Well, you know, feel the fear and do it anyway. That's what they say. I was like trying not to cry the whole time and was like kind of trembling through it, but I felt like I had my people behind me, you know?
How did it feel getting ready to walk up onto that stage?
I mean, so they gave me a table and I was able to invite friends of mine, and I invited like my best friend from high school and my anti-Zionist Jewish book club members. So I had my allies. Shout out to book club. You're like, they're freaking out that I'm doing this with you. They're like, Simone, iconic. But
cool. Love you, book club.
Yes. They were there with me, and my friend Poppy, who was like a really incredible friend to me, and like we had a lot of difficult conversations like pretty early on, and like my friends who are Palestinian or like who have been a part of the Palestinian liberation movement, who have felt so gaslit and so stifled, their voices should be front and center. I think like feeling like I could give them any ounce of like, I don't know, just at least like understanding, visibility, like just affirming reality, not their reality, but reality. Like that was the point of pride. Like that's, you know, more valuable than honestly anything, yeah. You know, my hope was to do what so many people have done for me, which is like to try to be a bridge and to speak in a way that would help, I don't know, just reach into the hearts of our community members, you know, with like love and understanding.
I just want to like uplift all the different things you talked about in that speech. Like you start by talking about the issue of climate change, and you name, as you just did, like the corporations that are responsible for destroying our planet. You talk about queer histories of resistance and what does it mean to be a queer person speaking out for other communities. And then you talk about your Jewish values, and you speak out against the genocide in Gaza. You speak out against the detention of Mahmoud Khalil, and you speak out against the kind of rising white nationalist movement in this country. I think you named Elon Musk specifically, and you speak about what does it mean to you to like have a vision of Jewish safety that is about a world of safety and well-being for all people. And so I get this a lot. Like one of the, I think, most dishonest, bad faith attacks that people like us get is that we are singularly obsessed with Israel to the exclusion of any other issue. I want to uplift that again, because that's like that misrepresentation couldn't be further from the truth. What were the moments that prepared you for that speech? Because I mean, you aren't somebody who has been like, this is new for you. So like, when did the cracks start to form?
Honestly, I think October 7th was a point in time where people either like their belief system atrophied, or it became this point of crisis where like they started to question reality. I definitely had some difficult conversations with like comrades of mine. Like I have been, just like involved in like leftist organizing. The LA comedy scene is randomly like really, well, there are many scenes within the LA scene, but like the stand-up comedy community that I came up in is like a lot of organizers, like a lot of mutual aid. And we always would do fundraisers, and like, this was like kind of the one issue that I felt totally misaligned on. And I started to, my community members were springing into action on October 8th and 9th. And I started to just like accompany them to certain, like I went to like an IfNotNow vigil several days after. I just started to observe, and I was really uncomfortable, and I was really hurt, as we all were in that time, I think. And I just...
What made you uncomfortable?
Being challenged. Of course, like, I know now that I always knew that there was something wrong. It just was deep in my unconscious, and it just kind of crept up towards the surface. And, I mean, the genocide has made it really, really, really hard to deny and look away. And my Zionism was dependent on my denial, as I believe all of it is, And so I was already in these spaces. Like, I just pushed myself and was pushed by my community members to have difficult conversations. And, at first, like, I this, I was like reluctant to watch Israelism. I was like, I just didn't know, I followed these, like, it's so funny, the same Instagram, some of these like Zionist influencers. I like followed them when I was a Zionist, and the ones who like hate me more than anything now. And they would always post about how IfNotNow and JVP are horrible. They're horrible, horrible, horrible. All this stuff, all this like total libel that I believed. I was just like, oh my God, it's terrible. I won't even say it, but it is really wild to just like turn your worldview like totally upside down. And I think genuinely when people try to have discourse with me, it's not even discourse. When we get criticism, it's usually from people who don't examine their belief systems, and that's where I just go like, you cannot stand 10 toes down and have an argument with me if you have not questioned everything that you have been handed. Like, it's a difficult thing. And like I said, I think my Zionism was connected to a sense of denial, but it also was, my Zionism demanded that I keep a distance between myself and the very tangible, real-world pain of Palestinians. Because in order for my belief system to remain intact, I had to find a way to, rationalize that. And when you start to peel back the layers of this ideology, and when you start to see the world as it is, all of the pain that you denied. It comes all of the pain that you rationalize and push down and deny comes up, and you cannot unsee it. So, you know, when people in our community say things to us, I know that they are in their own pain and they are pushing that pain away, and they cannot hold it. They can't bear it because, like, it's just like it never leaves you.
You know, I'm like, I can feel how it's like the pain is right here. And I guess I just first of all want to say that, like, I actually think if you are not letting yourself be undone by what we've all witnessed over the last 2 years, like, as you just said, like, you are actually cutting off a part of your humanity. And it is overwhelming and extremely emotional. You are articulating something that I carry with me in a very deep way, which is the pain and the shame of the fact that the conditioning that many of us were raised with, it makes the scream in your head so loud that you cannot hear anyone else outside of you or around you, and you cannot be in a reality in which another people is being annihilated in your name. And we're having this conversation right now, like, around the time of the high holidays, and this time where Jews have to, you know, look inward and ask ourselves where we have wronged other people. And I think for me, like, the concept of teshuvah and of repentance and of return is, like, I do think that the most urgent moral calling for Jews right now is to be calling on our communities to face this history-altering catastrophe that is ongoing right now in our names, and to do everything we can to, like, peel away the excuses, the rationalizations, the fear, the idea that a Palestinian narrative and experience is an existential threat to me as a person was something that was very, very hard to undo. And I think when we talk about, you know, I'm sure you have these conversations about what Zionism actually means, right? You know, we have Jonathan Greenblatt of the Anti-Defamation League on the New York Times talking about how all Zionism is the right of Jews to self-determination, and, you know, anybody who's against Zionism is against Jewish safety. And I mean, what we're talking about is the reality of Zionism. This is what Edward Said wrote about. This is what Palestinians have been writing about for decades. Zionism is not your feelings. Zionism is not just this idea of how you want to be in the world as a person. It's an ideology that has a state backing it that is actively dispossessing people from their land and actively killing them. Your emotion is fitting for what this moment calls upon us to reckon with and to face.
It's a betrayal on so many levels. Like, it is a betrayal of our collective humanity. It is a betrayal of the central tenet of Judaism, pikuach nefesh. Like, it is literally the most grave betrayal of our history. What are we talking about? This fantasy, this construction. That is nice for the narrative. That is not reality. It is a settler colonialist ideology to create a Jewish majority in the land of Palestine. And apartheid is the vehicle for that majority. And genocide, I have trouble with the term liberal Zionism because I think it absolves the identifier of reckoning with the necessary elements for the ideology to thrive. Like, liberal Zionists will say, oh yes, we of course recognize that what's happening to the Palestinians is horrible, but they do not examine the foundational ideology that manifests that horror. Like, that is, I understand, difficult to hear. I understand. I remember when that was hard for me to hear. I don't know where where our new institutions are. Like, I want to be able to go to a synagogue that I feel aligned with, and there's like one in LA that's like almost there, maybe, has like some individual rabbis that I think are aligned, that I've been at like direct actions with. And I'm like, cool, great, but like, where is the institution? Like, we are in dire need of like a sweeping new Jewish left, anti-Zionist Jewish organization. I mean, like a religious space for us.
Yeah, well, shout out to Ariel Angel at Jewish Currents, who wrote a really powerful essay about this. And I think that we're kind of in some ways, you and I are the products of a many decades long investment in raising a generation of young Jews who saw their Judaism and their Zionism as inextricable, and took many of us to Israel in part to solidify our commitment to Judaism. And obviously we're in a moment now where that's completely unraveling. It's great to be a fellow traveler with you in that project of...
I salute you, comrade.
of bringing people out of Zionism, and also like inviting them to see that it is dangerous to us as Jewish people to be linking our identity and our sense of safety to a state that is committing a genocide.
This is the greatest, one of the great hypocrisies, right, of these Zionist leaders who say, you cannot create a distinction between Jews and Israel. You cannot. They are linked. It is the Jewish homeland. You cannot create this distinction.
Yeah, and you don't think that that's creating anti-Semitism.
And then a genocide is committed, and people start to be angry with and blame Jews, all Jews, which is wrong. And they go, you cannot blame Jews for the actions of Israel. Well, you just said that they were linked, so which is it? It almost seems like it's necessary to put Jews in harm's way for the project to thrive. I mean, it's horrible. Like, and they accuse us of abandoning our people.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that, I think the Israeli government and I think a lot of its allies around the world want Jews to be unsafe in order to advance, that they want Jews to be terrified, to be isolated, to be paranoid, to not be in reality, so that they will continue supporting the government of Israel. And I mean, we've seen Israeli right-wing extremist soccer fans committing Islamophobic hate crimes in Amsterdam, and then they spin it as, an anti-Semitic rampage against Israelis in Amsterdam, or whether it was the genuinely horrific shootings that we saw happen in DC and in...
Horrible.
And I mean, I think the thing that is really painful to talk about, and you're right, it's people... I like the thing that you said about people whose ideologies have atrophied during this time, but I think I've seen the people who are retreating and clinging to that ideology. It's very, very hard to look at the idea that you are supporting something that is also making you less safe. I mean, the idea that, I mean, someone said this to me right after October 2023, and I've thought about it a lot, that I think the JVP protests, these mass mobilizations of anti-Zionist Jews, even Israelism. I've heard this from a lot of people about the film, that the way, the visibility of anti-Zionist Jews in this moment is actually doing more to fight anti-Semitism than anything else, because we are publicly breaking the conflation of Jews in Israel. And, well, the people who want that conflation to stay really hate that and really hate us for it.
For us, it's personal. It's our community. I'm who did I just lose forever? I can't place that above the how dire the moment is, and frankly how impactful our voices can be. It really should be, Palestinians who are given the same platform that we are, but due to the power dynamic, that is really not the case, unfortunately, and it's very hard to feel so visible when I know so many people who should be more visible than me and who should be far louder than I am and should be heard much more than my voice. But I'm like, you know, it's kind of this thing where you just realize like, okay, like this is the role that we play to try to create a bridge for people of our community to walk, to see like the truth, you know?
Yeah, and I will say, like, speaking of that bridge, I want to say, well, I want to ask you who you feel like you've lost, but I feel like I just want to say that I don't think it's forever. Like, I think that's the point, which is that someone might be really angry with you right now, and they might come around, and you might not realize that they're, like, actually sitting with things that they've heard you say, and it might take them a while, but I've seen too many people come along, and I don't think that I would be able to do this work if I didn't believe that what we are doing is like planting seeds and offering a path for people when they're ready.
I think that's true, and I think we're proof of that, right? Like that's what I always try to come back to. There was a time where I would have heard the words that I said that night and been like, who is this? You know, I would have been so upset with my current self, you know?
Big same.
Oh my God, imagine.
Yeah.
And
the things that I said about myself 15 years ago.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, completely.
You gave the speech. Has it opened up space for you to have different kinds of conversations with people in your life?
Oh yeah. I mean, unfortunately, there are some people who like, it was like over without a word, and that like breaks my heart. But I have, you know, wrestled and argued, the thing we do best, like with people, and to varying degrees of success. Like I've been able to get through to some family members. Some are no longer, you know, speaking to me. Some are open. Maybe, like you said, like down the line, others will come back. But yeah, like just like across our community, I've been able to have discourse. I was somewhere recently with someone who was, you know, so unlike me in a lot of ways fundamentally, and you would assume on paper that she and I would not have been able to talk. And at the beginning of our conversation, she said some wild shit. I won't even repeat it. And by the end of the conversation, she was asking me for a reading list. And like, I sat with her, you know what I mean? And we did it. And I feel like that is the work, like IRL communication, like empathetic, understanding communication. Like that is, you know.
What did you tell her to read?
I gave her, well, in order, I gave her Being Jewish After the Destruction of Gaza. And then I gave her, you know, I gave her Tablets Shattered because I thought that, I know that like the end of Tablets Shattered goes kind of like, he like ends up Joshua Lifer, like he's like, and then I moved to Israel. And it's like, okay, well, hang on one second. But, but like, I do still think that the beginning of the book has like some great history. And then I gave her 10 Myths About Israel. And then I gave her The Question of Palestine. And then one day, Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This, and then Perfect Victims by Mohammed El-Kurd.
That is a banger reading list.
You know what I mean? I feel like that is like the, just for people
Sequence.
who are, yeah. And then I did a film list, which was Where the Olive Trees Weep, and Israelism, and No Other Land.
Nice.
So I figured like just a little mix there.
Have you heard back about how it's going from her?
No. But, you know, it's a lot of reading.
No, totally.
I gave her my email. We had met, like we didn't have, like, a relationship, really. But I gave her my email, so we'll see.
Cool.
Fingers crossed.
I was going to make a bad joke. Like, it's not our job to educate, but actually it is our job.
Yeah,
and I'm really glad that
it
you
is.
gave her the reading list. And, I hope she reads it.
Yeah, me too. God willing, inshallah.
Well, because you mentioned No Other Land, it does matter that in Hollywood and in our cultural sphere that there has been such a sea change on this issue. First of all, like, again, just to kind of like ground this conversation in what is actually happening right now, No Other Land is a film about the communities of Masafer Yatta, which are under an active campaign of ethnic cleansing by the Israeli state. And it seems like every week right now we're getting new reports about, settler violence backed by the military that is coming in, and they are also killing people. Auda Hatalin from Umm who was shot by a settler who has, since murdering him, come back multiple times into the village to scope it out for the next, thing they're going to demolish or steal. I mean, this is a man who is, an armed agent of the state committing ethnic cleansing and terrorizing a community population. We've seen the solidarity activists who are in those communities getting attacked. Men from the communities have been abducted and disappeared into Israel's network of torture prisons. I mean, this is what is happening right now. And again, when we talk about the reality of Zionism, this is that reality. All of this is being done in the name of creating a state with rights and privileges exclusively for Jews, with Palestinians on as little land as possible, as few as Palestinians on that land as possible. And now to come back to the place in which we're having this conversation, I mean, it was truly incredibly moving to see Basaladra who's the main character in the film, and Yuval and their whole team, to see them stand on the stage at the Oscars and accept that award. And I recognized some faces in the crowd. Like I knew just a little bit about what it meant for that film to be honored in that space. Do you feel like a community of supportive colleagues around you right now?
I do. Some are in private and some are in public. And I do what I can to create less private allies and try to help people to do what I think is pretty simple, which is to say that genocide is bad. Feels like totally chill vibes to say that. Like, you can say that and that's pretty much normal in my opinion, no offense, but that's how I feel. I am trying to just give people the help that I received, I
love that.
Yeah, you got to pay it forward, and also make up for lost time as best you can, every day. But yeah, I have a really great community of artists who are aligned with me, and that's who I work with. I haven't worked with people who are not aligned. I haven't on any level, look, here's the reality. People ask me a lot, aren't you scared of your career? I know that there are some people who are not going to work with me because of my beliefs and because I'm not a Zionist. That is true. There are a lot of people who don't feel that way, and those are the people I want to work with. It's as simple as that. It's I think that this idea of, look, there have been some legitimate blacklisting of people, especially folks who spoke out immediately. And that is so real. But the Israeli regime has done themselves no favors by being ruthless and relentless in this genocide. And it is just undeniable for the most part, especially for people who aren't in our community. And whether they give me a little thumbs up in private or stand alongside me and support Artists for Ceasefire. There are also a lot of people who are aligned with me in our business and have been. I made 2 movies this summer, both with Jewish filmmakers. Both are aligned with me. So, I do think it's a little bit dangerous to be Zionist Hollywood, because that gets into actual anti-Semitism, right? To be Jews control. It's almost this idea of Jews control Hollywood if you say you can't talk about, not being a Zionist, because to me it negates the fact that there are a lot of people in Hollywood, and yes, there are a ton of our community members, Jews founded Hollywood because we were blacklisted from Broadway. Like, yeah, we are out here, like, for sure. But I do think that, you know, there are a growing number of aligned people who aren't going to be intimidated by, like, any of that stuff because it's just too dire, you know?
And you've also become this amazing, like, ambassador in a lot of ways for this organization, Pal Humanity. I just would love to ask you about, like, how that happened and what that's been like, because it seems really special.
Well, yeah, I'm stoked to talk about them. My friends, Noor and Nagam, they're doctors in the north of Gaza. So they are like a pretty comprehensive mutual aid organization. Like, they basically meet the community's needs, whether it's water desalination stations. They did like a pop-up school in the refugee camp for the kids. They're also doctors, right? So any like medical needs, but they also especially help pregnant women and try to aid with the malnutrition for babies in the NICU right now. So a lot of their work is with women, but it's like really, like I said, comprehensive. And
are they in Gaza City?
Yeah.
Okay. So Gaza City is like that. They have actively begun the ethnic cleansing and destruction campaign inside the city right now.
Yes. And so they've just been trying to like literally wire money to people that they see. Like, it's truly like, and that's like I said earlier, like my background is like in LA mutual aid. Like, that's like kind of like the community that I'm like involved with. And I know just how much people in the community know the needs of the community. Like, sure, we can ask the city to provide money for programs, this and that. It is not usually as good as the type of work that can be done when people in the community are like running the operation. So Noor and Nagam have just been like, oh my God, like going through a genocide themselves, and, you know, still like caring for other people and putting other people before themselves.
I wish that they didn't have to be teaching us these things, but I think that people in Gaza are teaching the rest of the world about what does it mean to love and what does it mean to fight for life, and to the amount of like community care and resilience that we're seeing every day coming out of these people who are living through the most unimaginable circumstances. And again, like for us to be having this conversation in like the comfort of a podcast studio in New York City is like, I think it's just, it's a very important reminder of the responsibility that we have. And so, I mean, thank you for teaching us about their work. It's been really amazing to watch. And
hell yeah. If you're watching this, you can go to my Instagram bio link, the link to donate with Apple Pay, takes 2 seconds, is always there. So if you're feeling it, that would be so appreciated. Whatever you're able to do is great.
Cool. Well, I guess on that note, I think this is a good place to close. Go birds, fuck ICE, and free Palestine. By the way, there's like this really funny thing happened where this rabbi who I know have known for like a decade wrote on Facebook, Philly Jews, like, if I were you, I would make some merch right now that says Al Shlosha Dvarim Ha'olam Omed. On these 3 things, the world stands. Go birds, fuck ICE, free Palestine. And like already within days, like the merch was made. Rabbis for Ceasefire is selling it to raise money for the Gaza Soup Kitchen.
Unreal.
As part of the Jews for Food Aid fundraiser. But it was like, I told my sister that, and she was like, wait, I don't like, sorry, Tamar. But my sister was like, wait, what is that reference? And then I reminded her that this was like the song that we grew up singing, like in our day school, like Al Shlosha Devarim. Anyways, and then all of a sudden, like I'm walking around the house and she's like singing the song all evening.
Oh my God. Well,
anyways, I think you are an icon.
No, look, it goes free Palestine and fuck ICE, and then just politely with love, go birds.
Okay. I follow your leadership here, Hannah. So, all right. Well,
I love you, Simone.
I love you too.
I'm so lucky to have you. Like, when we do Shabbat with Abby, and like I feel like everyone's around us and we have like such a clear connection to like the beautiful ritual and the community. Like, I'm so grateful for you.
And I want people watching this or listening to this to understand that there is a good thing happening here.
That's right.
You can have a good Jewish life and say, go birds, fuck ICE, and free Palestine.
Let's go.
Congrats on the Emmy, by the way.
Thank you.
But seriously, I do want to say, like, I'm proud of you and I'm inspired by you. And it has been really amazing to just watch, again, like you take the responsibility that you have, like, which with such seriousness, and to watch you like get stronger and clearer as you've continued to speak. And it's just really a model for so many people, and it's also really fun to watch. Thank you for making the time to do this.
Thank you,
and
Simone.
thank you for being you, and see you out there.
Totally.